Hi, Carmine.
Hello? Yes, hi, how are you?
Good, it's Michael Persh calling from Australia. Sandy set me up for a chat. How you doing?
I know. I'm good. How's Australia these days?
Fantastic. It's very warm here, mate. Not so much in your part of the world.
Yeah, well, I'm in California, so it's pretty warm here.
Oh, so okay. So snowing lots back home in New York, I see on the news, though.
What's that?
It's quite cold back in your home in New York at the moment.
Oh, New York is ridiculous. It's like 11 inches of snow, and yesterday was 28 degrees. Today it's like freezing. It's 32, but it's still freezing there.
Crazy stuff.
No, I'm going there next week.
Pack your snowshoes.
Yeah, I do have snowshoes there, actually. My girlfriend lives there, so I don't, I really have a set of clothes over there as well,
All right, if you're ready to make a start?
Yes.
All right, let's go. Welcome to Sitting in a Bar in Adelaide, Carmine Appice. It is an absolute pleasure to have a chat to you, mate. I remember when I was a kid, the drummers from the UK dominated the world, guys like Mitch Mitchell and Ian Pace and Ginger Baker. But you changed that. You bought to be a superstar drummer to guys from the US.
Hold on a minute. I gotta take the headphone off because I can't hear you well. Hold on a second. Okay. Can you repeat that? I know it's a long one.
When I was a kid, everyone talked about drummers from the UK like Ginger Baker and Ian Pace and Mitch Mitchell, but you changed things. You were the first guy from the States that sort of took up, even way back in Vanilla Fudge, took up the mantle as the superstar drummer.
Right. Well, the English thing, the English invasion continued from, 64 from the Beatles all the way through the 70s, in America and in the rock scene. And, I was lucky when I came up with Vanilla Fudge, there was a lot of uncharted territory, in the drumming world. And I started making some, breaking ground on those different levels. And, with the stuff I did for necessity, I wasn't studied drummer. I went for lessons when I was a kid and I learned the techniques and all. But the things I did with the rock was, out of necessity, getting big drums was because there's actually no PA systems in those days, So, by getting a big drum set, I got more volume, big, not a lot of drums, but bigger drums. And I played with the butt end of my stick and played really loud and 12 sticks and put the sticks way up high to get more volume. And only because there were no PA systems, Had there been PA systems, I don't know, I probably wouldn't have played so hard, But from doing that and mixing that together with the technical stuff that I had going, I guess, I came up with something, and people like Ian Pace and John Bonham used to listen to Vanilla Fudge and liked what they heard,
And another interesting thing that you did for I think a whole generation of rock fans was you often spoke about your influences like Buddy Rich and Gene Krupa, and you took myself as well back to actually go and investigate and find out about those guys and what fantastic drummers they were.
Well, you got to understand, at my age, I'm 63 now. When I was first started playing drums, there weren't no really good rock drummers. There were a couple of guys like Sandy Nelson that had Teen Beat and Let There Be Drums, and there was Wipeout and stuff like that. But there were no real, things going on like what happened in '67, like when Mitch Mitchell and Ginger Baker and Keith Moon and myself, and then a year and a half, 2 years later, John Bonham and Ian Pace and all that. There was nothing like that in those days. So I had to listen to the jazz guys to get my inspiration. And Buddy Rich and Gene Krupa were my two guys and the third and fourth were Joe Morello and Max Roach. And so I took a little something from each one of them. You know, I always say I took like my showmanship concept and ideas from Gene Krupa, and melodic ideas from Gene Krupa. I took my vicious playing from Buddy. I took my time signatures and that kind of stuff from Joe Morello, and I took the weird kind of fills that I do, you know, from Max Roach, and rockified all that stuff into my own style, you know. And that's pretty much how I did it. But again, there was really nobody to listen to, versus when, you know, the next generation had, you know, all of us to listen to, and we were playing rock, so they not only had drum heroes in the rock, the drum heroes, but they were also in the rock realm that these drummers would listen to that kind of music anyway for enjoyment, you know.
And I guess folks in Australia would have been familiar with your work with Jeff Beck, but you really became well known in Australia for all the touring you did with Rod Stewart here. There were some huge tours here with Rod Stewart.
Right.
And one thing I remember about those days was how hot that band was with Phil Chen and Billy Peake. What a great band that was, Carmine.
Well, it was a great band. As a matter of fact, we have put that band back together. And in 2010, we're going to be doing some shows in different parts of the world with a different singer. And we're going to be playing those particular songs that we wrote with Rod, and all the songs that we played on the tours for 7 years. I was with Rod 7 years, and pretty much all of us were there for at least 5 or 6 years. And so we got Jim Cregan and Gary Granger, Billy Peake, Phil Chen, and myself. And we're going to be doing some shows as the Rod Stewart group. It's going to be called RSG, and it's going to be the original, Rod Stewart's original band and music. And that's how we're going to bill it, you know. And we're already looking at a bunch of dates in England. And, I'm going to actually tell the manager to look into Australia, because you're right, we did some huge tours over there.
That would be magnificent. And one of the things I think people remember all the ballads from that period, but when you guys got rocking, you were as good or better than the Faces. Well, tunes like Born Loose and You're Insane and stuff like that are just great rock tunes. Yeah,
and like, that band was compared to the Stones a lot as well, and we used to be called the RSG. We used to have that in the front of the curtains, and and in those days Rod considered it more of a band than just a solo thing, and that we actually had a percentage of the take, which now, Rod's band is just Rod's band. They're very faceless, and you don't know who's in it, and you know what I mean? It's just a faceless band, and it's all about Rod now. But back then it was about Rod, but it was also about the band.
I would love to see that show, so hopefully we will see you down in Australia in 2010. That would be magnificent.
Yeah, it would be great. I think it would be great.
And we're here to talk about Guitar Zeus, Carmine. It's got a worldwide release and some fantastic stuff on that, mate. You've got just about every great guitar player in the world, which I guess is why the title is called that.
Yeah, well, there was a few I didn't get. I would have liked to get Jeff Beck, but the timing just wasn't right for that. And I would have loved to get Richie Blackmore, but I did get a considerable amount of great guitar players, and and some of my favorite guys, on there. And I really love the material on there, because the material is sort of like, I would describe it as Soundgarden meets Blue Murder meets the Beatles, where it's really heavy and it's got really good melodies, and the songs are really good. Even if the guitar solos and these, all these great guitarists weren't on it, it would still be a really great album as far as the songs and the sound of it and the way it rocks, And Kelly Keeling was a great singer, who sang on pretty much all of it, and to get guests like Edgar Winter to sing, and Doug Pinnick, and Tony Franklin is my favorite bass player. He played on the whole thing, you know, I believe it's some of the best stuff I've done on record, you know.
And I agree. I think apart from all the great guitar players, Kelly Keeling's vocals are just a standout.
The vocals.
Kelly is a great singer.
He's a great singer, and his voice. You know, one song he'll sound like Lennon, then he'll sound like Coverdale, and you know, he's just very distinct. He can sing any style of rock, and you know, any timbre, and you know, any kind of range, you know, from low to really pretty high. And he's a great songwriter. He has great melodies and lyrics. And together, me and him, we used to call ourselves like the Lennon and McCartney, you know, because we really came up with some good magic with the songwriting together.
And of course, I'd be here for half an hour listing the great guitar players that were on it. But guys like Richie Sambora and Ted Nugent and Steve Morse. But there's some guys on there that aren't known for playing the guitar. For Steven Seagal and John McEnroe, for instance.
Right, I know, it's pretty off the wall because you know, I met Seagal through Richie Sambora when Richie did his parts, and Richie was going out to do a benefit in Malibu and asked me if I'd come along and play with him and Steven Seagal. I said sure, you know. So I went out and I met Steven, and Richie said you should ask Steven to play on your record. He plays blues guitar. I said, oh, that's interesting. So I asked him. He said, yeah. He came down, and I didn't know what to do with him. And I had this blues song with Seymour Duncan already, you know, in the works. I said, why don't we put you on that one? He said, great. I love Seymour Duncan, you know. So we put them together, and John McEnroe just came about by one of the agents I was working with, said that he played guitar and he would love to do something on it. So the album was all pretty much done by then. But I found a place to put him on a song called Stash. He played some rhythm guitar and a couple of fills, you know. But he was very happy to be on it, you know. And I said, that's great. You know, I got a tennis player and an actor. It's pretty off the wall. You know, not to say, you know, like Brian May's solo to me was great because he was playing with a wah-wah. And when was the last time you ever heard Brian May with a wah-wah? Probably never.
No, I don't recall ever.
Yeah, so that's why he gave me two solos. So I did the one with the wah-wah just because it was so different for him, you know.
And the Guitar Zeus CDs have had releases, I think mainly in Japan. Is that right, Carmine? But this is the first time it's had a worldwide release.
Well, yeah. Originally, it was the first album was released in Japan and Europe in the like around 96, 97, and it did well in both territories. Then I did another album like 97, 98 in Japan. And that one just was released in Japan pretty much. And then I had odd releases, like one I did a Guitar Zeus in Korea with Korean guitar players. I did Guitar Zeus Japan with Japanese guitar players. And then we released the Guitar Zeus 1 and 2 together. Now Guitar Zeus 1 and 2 have been re-released in Japan with the new high-definition mastering and all that. So that just came out like a couple of months ago there. And I got it released in America, and I'm getting it released in Europe. Europe, it's going to be a 3-disc set. In Europe, it's going to be Guitar Zeus 1, 2, plus Guitar Zeus Japan.
Sounds great.
And a 3-disc. So it's become quite a little series, you know, and I'm really proud of it. I mean, it's, you know, because not only, you know, I co-wrote it and played on it and got all the guitar players in it, but I produced everything also. So I could say I produced all these different artists, you know, which is a great feather in my cap, because I like doing the production things too. And I'm really happy that it's getting a worldwide release now, you know, and we're actually selling units in America, and Japan is told it's doing pretty good over there. And, you know, it's like the second time around, too, you know.
Magnificent. Oh, I just wanted to quickly ask you about some other projects that you've been involved in over the years. Cactus was a band that didn't have a lot of exposure here in Australia, but guys like Van Halen cite Cactus as a huge influence on them.
Right. Cactus has had a really big underground resurgence, resurgence for, I don't know why, maybe Rhino, because Rhino's been putting out Cactus product, like they put out Catology that did well. They put out, and there's so many bands. I mean, I was at a party the other night, had Carlos Cavazzo from Quiet Riot, and we were talking about Cactus. He says, "Oh man, Cactus is amazing. I used to listen to Cactus." And then there was a couple other guys from different rock bands from the '80s there, and they were telling me about Cactus also. And I know Van Halen did listen to it. Plus, Government Mule, big influences Cactus. That group Anvil, that's having a big upswing now, big influence by Cactus. And King's X, big influence by Cactus. So Billy Sheehan and even Pat Torpe from Mr. Big told me that they were all influenced by Cactus. So Cactus was a musician's band that, we did play a lot of shows. We never came to Australia or Japan, but we did shows in Europe and all over the States and Canada. And it left a good mark. And Rhino released Catology, did well. Then they released the Cactus packages that were $40 a piece. There were 2 CDs. One was all the studio stuff with some extra tracks, and then another one was Cactus Live. And both those CDs sold out. They put 5,000 collectibles on it, and they sold them out. It was almost $500,000 worth of business, And then they released another Cactus live one, and that one's almost sold out. So altogether, we've probably done almost $600,000 worth of record sales, with no promotion really, And we did release a live DVD and did almost 10,000 units of that, which, again, with no promotion, So it's there's definitely an underground thing going on with Cactus now. I mean, we never sold millions of records, but we definitely left the mark.
And another outfit, Carmine, that I really liked, and I guess because of an Australian connection with the great bass player Bob Daisley, was Mother's Army with Joe Lynn Turner behind the microphone.
Right. I love Bob Daisley. I mean, I met Bob when I was playing with Ozzy, and I knew him before that, but I didn't really get close to him until the Mother's Army thing. And Bob's a tremendous talent. God, he's a great bass player, and he's the guy that wrote all those songs on those great Ozzy albums. I mean, he's the lyricist. He's the melody guy. He comes up with lines. Those first 2 or 3 Ozzy albums are definitely written by Bob and Randy Rhoads. Ozzy's not, really, the big writer, but they would, pay Bob to write the songs, He had No More Tears. I mean, Bob wrote majority of that stuff, and he does what they used to tell me, they gave him a buyout, So here's X amount of dollars, and they put Ozzy's name on it, But he's a tremendous talent. That was a fun band. We spent a lot of time in Sausalito at Jeff Watson's house. That's actually where I came up with the idea of Guitar Zeus when I was playing with Mother's Army. Jeff had done a solo album. We went to Japan, and I was thinking how easy it is for these guitar players to come out of a band and they have like a solo album waiting for them by somebody, So I said, I'm going to do a guitar album. I'm going to call it Carmine Appice Guitar Gods, like Guitar Zeus, I said, goofing off. And then when I went to bed that night, I started thinking, I said, that's not a bad idea.
And on the subject,
it took me a couple of 2-3 years to get a manager to find the funding for it, because each one of those discs costs over $100,000 to make,
It's an expensive business indeed. And on the subject of Ozzy, Bob Daisley came unstuck when he incurred the wrath of Sharon Osbourne. And I believe that you had a similar fate, that you were too big a star in your own right. Is that right?
Mine was a little different than Bob. I mean, Bob got screwed out of millions and millions of dollars. I got screwed out of probably hundreds of thousands. But I was with them, and I had a deal with them, which was a contract that allowed me to do merchandise on the thing, and do master classes and get press and everything. And I told them when I come to America, I get a lot of press, and I guess they didn't like that because when she actually fired me and said that my name was too big and I need to get more of a sideman kind of guy like Tommy Aldridge, and I need to start my own band. So she fired me. I had the contract, and in my contract, I was supposed to get bonuses every time the album sold gold in America. I was supposed to get bonuses, in dollars because I was an assistant or associate producer on the record, on Bark at the Moon. So I got screwed out of all that money, and I got screwed out of staying with Ozzy, which I really wanted to do because I thought my songwriting, production skills, and performance skills would have helped, the Ozzy project get bigger, And the fact that I did do and get a lot of press, I always pushed Ozzy in the tour, but she didn't like it, so she fired me, and I sued them, and we settled out of court,
and it was after you left Ozzy that
Bob didn't win. Yeah, Bob didn't win. They didn't get anything, which really pissed him off, I gotta say.
Well, as you say, he did. He pretty much wrote the first 3 albums, indeed. But after you left Ozzy's band, another band that didn't sell millions of records but had a huge influence on people was King Cobra.
Yep, I know. It's another one of them cactus situations, I mean, we had Poison open up from us. Next thing I know, Poison looked like King Cobra. And then it's just timing. But it's funny enough, we're doing a King Cobra reunion this year also. So I think 2010 is going to be my reunion year because I'm going to be doing some shows with Cactus. We're going to do some shows, festivals with King Cobra, and we're going to have a new album, it looks like. And we have Motorhead's managers managing us. And so we already wrote some songs, and they sound pretty good. And we got Paul Shortino going to sing with us. So we have the original band with Paul Shortino from Quiet Riot, Rough Cut. And, he was in Spinal Tap. He played that Duke Fame character.
That's right.
So he's a great voice, too. So we're, matter of fact, I have a meeting today with the manager about King Cobra and the direction and what's going on with the, we've got an agent in Europe and booking shows in Europe, and so we're trying to move ahead on that also. So, and I'm lucky that way. As Robert Plant told me one day, he said, that I've been lucky in my career that I play with so many different kinds of bands and musicians, and I don't have to play one style of music or one set of songs all the time. Like he was complaining, he always had to do Led Zeppelin, and it was always Led Zeppelin. It was always Led Zeppelin. That's all people wanted to hear him sing was Led Zeppelin. He said, man, you've had a great career. You played with Rod, played Vanilla Fudge, Cactus, with Jeff. You did all different kinds of music. I did King Cobra, which is heavy metal. I did Blue Murder. It's all different stuff, And it looks like they're all going to play this year. Coming up.
Magnificent. But apart from all the great bands you've played in, you've also done a lot to nurture new drummers and keep drumming at the forefront of rock music. Like your drum offs were very famous, and one of the most famous discoveries was Eric Singer, who people will of course know from Alice Cooper's band and from Kiss. Yeah.
Well, actually, it's funny because Steven Adler and Slash came to one of my drum offs, and Steven was in the contest. He didn't win, but he was one of the guys who entered the contest. I remember because I called him Steven Alder, and I pronounced it wrong, and he corrected me. But they tell me now that him and Slash came to it together when they were unknown, which is pretty funny. And Lita Ford actually discovered Eric Singer at the drum off, and put him in her band, and that gave him his break, And now, the Guitar Center has taken over the drum offs over here, and made it, into a really huge event. But unfortunately, they don't give me the credit. They gave me an award last year, and they called me the godfather of the drum off, but they didn't blatantly come out and say that, I started it. And they still use my, my rating sheets that I had, and the whole concept of the way it works, is all mine, having all the guest drummers being the judges, and just the whole thing, and came from mine and my old manager's playing, and the words "drum off" came from us. That was our name, So so I'm happy to do that, and more in the clinic area. Like I'm with D-Drum now, and D-Drum are a really aggressive young company that make great drums. And I'm the director of education. I've done 32 clinics for them this year, all around the world, from Canada to all over the States, all over Europe, and my drum books still sell, and the drum books had influences on people like Dave Weckl and Greg Bissonette, and even Joey from Slipknot, and the guy who plays with the Goo Goo Dolls, and so I'm really very happy and pleased that I had so much influence on the drumming world, and I'm still here doing it.
Well, and also the stage show Slam, Carmine. I've seen some stuff on that on the internet, and it looks like an absolute hoot.
Say again? I missed that.
And also your show Slam. I've seen some clips on the net, and it looks fantastic. Right.
Well, Slam happened because I was playing with Vanilla Fudge, the original band, and God, I'm 63, but my attitude is still like a 17-year-old, and some of the guys in the band, they're whining old men, and I was just so sick of listening to whining crap for nothing, it's just like I just want to get in, play some good music, have a good time, and create music, create something. And my girlfriend suggested, why don't you do something on your own? What would you want to do if you had a chance to do it? I said, I'd like to do a drum show, because in 1983, when I was doing the drum offs, I took the whole drum show out with me and Michael DeRocha from Heart, and Bruce Crump from Molly Hatchet, and Sandy Gennaro from the time he was with, I forgot he was with Girls That Want to Have Fun chick, what's her name? And anyway, so we took the drum show out, and the drum off was the opening act, and we sold out a lot of venues, and it was a great thing. We had no guitar players and nothing. It was wonderful. So I said, maybe I should do a drum show. So I did a little research and what I can do. So I decided to do this thing with 5 drummers and a guitarist that actually, it's sort of like Stomp and Blue Man Group, but more of a rock concert, where we actually do You Keep Me Hanging On and Do You Think I'm Sexy, which I co-wrote, and Wipeout, and a few original songs. We ended up doing a video for NASCAR, and so things are happening okay with it. The economy here slowed us down this year a little bit, but I've now got Adam Parsons, who's managing King Cobra and Motorhead. He's also going to manage Slam, and we got some plans for that, and we have some meetings with some good agents, and we already got a few gigs for next year lined up, and we're trying to come up with a plan that would get us in maybe an off-Broadway show. So we have some meetings with that in January. So, and at the NAMM show, we got Slam is going to open up the Dean and D-Drum party. At NAMM, we're going to do a number with Michael Badio. He's going to play with us.
Fantastic, great. I won't keep you much longer, mate. The other project that I wanted to ask you quickly about was the Pink Floyd LP, Momentary Lapse of Reason. In my opinion, is one of the greatest records that they ever made. How did you end up working on that?
Well, it was funny because I came home one day and there was a message on my phone machine from Bob Ezrin, who was producing that, and he said, "Hey, Carmine, it's Bob Ezrin. How you doing? Listen, I'm producing a band that's just screaming for some Carmine drum fills. So please call me. I'd like to put you on this record." And he didn't tell me who it was. I called him up and I said, "Hey, Bob, what's up?" He goes, "Yeah, you got my message." I said, "Yeah." I said, "So, yeah, I would love to do Who's the Band? I'd love to work with you." And he said, "Well, it's Pink Floyd." And I said, "Pink Floyd?" I said, "Where's Nick Mason?" He said, "Well, Nick races cars and his calluses are softened and they want to get some new blood in there for some new energy and stuff. So, they got Kelton's playing on it and they'd like you to play on, something." I said, "Oh, great." So we worked it out. I got the drums down there with my roadie and set them up, and David Gilmour was there, and Tony Levin was there, and Bob, and they had already recorded the song on a 4-track for me to play to, and with a click track, and I played to it, and they filled up the 24-track machine for 30 minutes, and then I put it on again. So they had 1 hour of my drum performances on 24 tracks, so they can edit and put it together however they wanted to. And I never heard the finished product until it actually came out on a cassette. When I was in Canada, I was filming a movie called Black Roses. And, in Canada, when you go, because it's such bad weather in the winter, they have their underground malls there. So I went right under the hotel to a record store and bought a cassette, actually. And, you can't do that anymore in America. They don't have anywhere to buy records here. But that's when I had a cassette player with me and, like, my Walkman. I listened to it, and I was blown away with the job they did on it, because I said, wow, that sounds awesome,
It is indeed. All right, mate, I won't keep you much longer. Would you mind just doing a promo for me?
Yeah, what is this show you're doing this for?
It's the show is called Sitting in a Bar in Adelaide, so it streams live out of San Francisco, but then you can download it on the net, like on iTunes.
This is live from on a San Francisco thing?
It streams on the internet out of San Francisco on a Sunday night, but then it's available as a download on it.
Is this going to be right? So is this going to be a download from San Francisco?
It's actually hosted from San Francisco, yeah.
Wow! Oh, wow.
Anyway, it's.
They got you to do it all the way down there, right?
Well, I've just hooked up with some guys that host all this stuff in San Francisco, so I'm lucky enough that they do it for me. So my show's called Sitting in a Bar in Adelaide.
Name of the show?
Sitting in a Bar in Adelaide.
Say that again. Say it slowly.
Sitting in a Bar in Adelaide.
Sitting in a bar?
In Adelaide. Adelaide is the town that I'm in. Adelaide.
Oh, in Adelaide. Sitting in a bar in Adelaide.
Correct. So if you can do me
name of the show, Sitting in a Bar in Adelaide.
Correct. So if you can do me something along the lines, this is Carmine Appice, and you're listening to...
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, this is Carmine Appice, and you're listening to Sitting in a Bar in Adelaide. I wish I was there myself.
Well, hopefully we will see you this year, Carmine, with the Rod Stewart band. That would be magnificent.
That would be great. Yeah, and we got this guy named John Hart, an English singer, singing with us. He replaced Paul Rogers in Bad Company, like in the 70s. He's a great singer.
Yes, I remember.
It should be really good. We actually played in London. I did a clinic in London for D-Drum as an event there, and we had the Rod Stewart band come up, and we just played 3 songs without rehearsal. It was really tight. It was really amazing. It was really cool.
Fantastic. Well, it sounds like a huge year, 2010 for you, Carmine, and I really appreciate your time. It's been an absolute joy to have a chat. Thank you so much, and we hope to see you in Australia soon.
Okay, mate. I would love to come down. I love Australia. I think it's the perfect blend of America and the UK.
It is indeed. Thank you, mate. All the best. Have a great day.
Yep.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Okay, cheers, mate. Bye-bye.